Surprise! It's me. It's me doing block of the week this week. We switched up a little bit. So, we are in the middle of putting everything back onto the website from Doncaster. No, it wasn't Doncaster. Where was I? Duxford. With the aeroplanes. Did you see Sarah's videos that she was doing from Duxford? I proper geeked out. All those aeroplanes. I mean, it's really weird to be that close. And I went through Concorde. If you want to see the Concorde video, then drop us a line. I was going to ring my mother, get her to come with me, and we walked through, but she didn't answer the phone. So I did a video of walking through Concorde, which is actually the actual test Concorde that flew from here to New York in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Hi Carolyn, how are you doing? Hi Ollie, how you doing? You can have your lunch now, are you? I was in Duxford. So yes, first time I've ever been. So I was proper geeking out and it was great. Small show, but amazing. Right, okay, so block of the week this week. It's one that I've seen on Pinterest that's come up. It only seems to be the one, and they've done it all in 2 colours, a background and 1 colour. And I quite like it, but we decided that it would probably be quite good to do it. You can do it with a mini charm, so that's really good. Can't reply. So hi Ali, how are you doing? So this is the one that I was doing. I quite like this. Let's go over to the block, the overhead, like that. So it's a really simple one, but I think it looks quite effective, don't you? Effective, not affective, effective. Effective? Yes, it's with effect. So I did a couple and put them together, and I quite like this. I think I would quite like it on the diagonal. I think I would put it on point. Now, I haven't got enough to make this size block because I was using fat quarters. But we reckon if you used a mini charm for these, you would get, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16, 32. You'd only get 2 blocks, I think. Yeah, you get 2.5 blocks from a mini charm. But it would be enough to do a cushion. You could then border it, I suppose, with mini charms and whatever you're using here. But it comes out at a 16.5-inch block. But I think that would be quite good if you had fat quarters and cut it up. I mean, I just like it. I like the way it looks. It's very clean. So we're just going to put it together. It's really easy, really quick, and as long as everything goes right, it will it'll work fine. Right, so I used 2.5-inch strip of background fabric, okay, and a 2.5-inch strip of my small squares, and we're going to sew those together. Then I used 1.5-inch strip, okay, and a 1.5-inch strip of my accent colour there. So I'm just having a look now at your, hi Linda, hiya Grace. So it's yeah, I really liked it. It was a nice easy one as well, and it looks quite effective. So if you had a groupage of fabrics you didn't know what to do with, you could do a couple of blocks of these. So we're going to sew this one together, and then we're going to build this one. Okay, so you would take your 2.5 inch strips of background and front fabric and sew them together. Hi Kate, how are you doing? Where's my 1/4 inch? 1/4 inch. Right. Where's the one of those. I can't be bothered to change the needle, so we're going to work out where it is. So I've lined up my 1/4 inch with my so it's this first little dimple here. Right, okay, so I'm going to put these together, line it up with the first dimple, and so I'm keeping my edge lined up with this dimple here. I haven't pinned anything together as usual. So what have you all been up to? I know some of you have been busy. I saw your Makers Monday. It's always quite good to see what you've been up to during the week. So there we go. So we just sew those together like that. And take it back over here. And then you would iron it out to the dark side. Just iron to the dark side like that. Oh, wrong one. Where am I? 2, 3. There we go. So you would iron it out to the dark side like that. Okay. Like that. Now, fat 1/4 of this one went a lot further than the fat 1/4 of that one, which surprised me. I think I must have already used some of this one somewhere else. So you might get more than one block from the fat 1/4. I mean, I could take it apart and just use different ones. So I'm going to line up one of my lines here with my sewing line, and I'm going to trim that there. Okay, so I've got a straight edge to work from. Go back this way. I've got a 2.5 inch ruler here. I'll turn it over, it slides better for me. Like that. So you just line it up and you cut 2 of those like that. You cut 2 of those, so you have these 2. Now we've ironed them to the dark side, so you can now put them dark side to light and nest up your seams in the middle. Okay, like that. So can you see where I've nested them? Because they're both going opposite directions, you can feel them click in. Now you could pin it just on there, especially if you're doing a load, you might want to do that. I've got some that I made earlier. So Always iron to the dark wherever possible. And we're just going to come in here, and you can see how they nest together like that. So you need 2 sets of 2 for each of your blocks. Okay, so we're just going to go and take those and sew those up. There we go. What's WSJ, Kate? Is that wonderful, Sarah Jane? So we're just putting our 1/4 of an inch here. Put that in and chain piece the next one. So going along here. So cut that off. So I didn't buy anything while we were away, apart from a pair of scissors. We bought the new, is it Kay Buckley? So Sarah had this colour and I had lime green. So they're really sharp, right to the point. I mean, we had these ones for Christmas. We'll have to see if we can get hold of any, I suppose, for the shop. But they're not cheap, but oh boy, are they good. They are so good. Right, so we have made our little blocks of 4 square, 4 patch, our little 4 patches. So we're now going to fold these out and iron into place. Okay, so you have 1 and you have 2. That doesn't quite look right, does it? So we're going to measure those now. So 2 2.5s, this should come to 4.5. So I line up, our 4.5 is 2 1/4. Ooh, I don't know what happened to my white there. Anyway, so 2 1/4. You level up your 2 1/4 on each one. I wonder whether my fabric wasn't quite 2.5. I just picked up all my scraps, so maybe I've picked up the wrong scrap. And you're going to trim them off, okay, like that. So you now have a corner. This is really terrible. You have your corner, and like that. Just take off all your little bits like that. Okay, that's, this one's better. So I'm lining up my 2 1/4 on my downward and 2 1/4 on my crossward. And making sure that it's all within that 4.5. So now when I'm doing this one, I can take my 4.5 inch corner like that and line it up in the corner, because I know that one should be square. There we go. So there we have 2 squares. Well, that one's almost a square. I have to make sure that I do a scant for that one. So there we have our 2 squares. So the next bit that we're doing is going to be this little log cabin here. Now I'm hoping I've got enough of the green left to do this. Okay. Now I've cut a 1.5 inch white square and a 1.5 inch green square. Now I'm going to use the ones that I have here because I was chain piecing yesterday not realising I was going to run out. So we're going to use these now anyway, because I just want to use the fabric. Okay, so I've already sewn my two 1.5 inch squares together. I'm now going to take my length of green fabric. I've got a shorter piece there. Will that be big enough? Oh, that one's big enough. So I'm going to sew that piece onto the side. Just gave it a quick iron. So I'm going to put it right sides together, and I'm going to sew my 1/4 inch and sew that down. Okay, like that. And I hope that I've done it the right way round. Okay, so we're going over here. We're going to sew that one at 1/4 inch. I'll just cut the thread instead of sewing it. So that's one, and then I'm going to take this piece here, the other piece, and put it on there, and I'm going to sew that in place. Right, it's opposite to that one, so as long as they're both the same. Okay. So I've sewn those two like that, and I'm going to trim that off at the end there, like that, and then I'm going to trim that there. Like that. Press those out. Now you could do all of this pressing, finger pressing, at the machine if you are at home and not having to show anybody. I chain pieced all of mine, so I did all of this stage and then went on to the next stage and did all of the next stage, which is probably one reason why I didn't know I was running out. So we've done that. Now we're going to take our white 1.5 inch. You can see where I've been chain piecing. At this end, and where you've got the long piece and you've got the joining here of the two, that's where you're going to put your next piece, is there across the join. Okay, so we are going to put that on there. So if I turn it round like that, and then we'll sew the two on there and then trim it down. So we're going over here. So we're putting that one onto there and then mirroring the one that I've just done, or doing exactly the same. And I'll sew that one on there. There we go. Now you could do this with scissors at the machine if you wanted to. Okay, I'm going to trim that one off there, and those like that, and we're going to push these out like this. Now you want your next white piece, to go along here. Okay, so your next white piece is going to come along this, so that you're sandwiching the green in between the white. So we're going to put that on there like that, take it back to the machine, and we're going to do the same with this one. Okay. Yeah, I like the colours, Rachel. I thought they were actually the first two I pulled out of my Batiks box. Well, of course it's Batiks, but they were the ones on the top, and I thought, green and purple go, so that'd be all right. So we're just going to put this one here, like this. Now I think my sizes are a bit wonky because I'm not using a 1/4 inch foot, and I'm missing my guide when I'm looking at the state of these. Where am I? What do I want? 3. I think that's right. We'll come over here, yours. So we've now got our white here. Okay, so I'm going to press these out just so that going that way. So you can see that they're really not straight. It's a good job I've done another one in it. Okay, so we're going along here. So you can see the benefit, the benefit of using a 1/4 inch foot and not guessing it. Okay, so I am just going to tidy these up a bit before I put the next one on. So that there. I don't need to worry about this side because I'll tidy that up at a later date. We're just doing these here now. This white one should measure 1 1/4. It doesn't. I've probably got 1 1/4 at the bottom and a bit more on the top. So I just tidy it up a little bit before I put the next one on. There we go. Up there. So you each one, because we're using a 1 1/2 inch strip for each layer, each round, each of these should measure 1 1/4 before you put the next one on. This one here should measure 1 inch. Yeah, I got a little bit more, but it's still 1 inch-ish. Right, so there's my join here. So we're going to start with this side first and build up like that. So we are going to put this one on there, and then that one like that. Okay, so back to the machine. It's a lot backward and forwarding, but like I say, you probably have your little iron next to you on the side and your scissors. Okay, so there. So this is our last round of our tiny log cabin. Not as tiny as Carol's work. Carol does really tiny work. Quite fancy a tiny thing. I liked the idea of doing this with a charm pack as well, but you wouldn't get much of the pattern. You want to get quite a few repeats, I think, for it to have the pattern working. Okay, so 3. So we are going to be coming down that way. So if we trim that bit off there, that bit off there, and yeah, towards the dark side, like that. And we're just going to put our last piece now on here. Have we got enough to do the two with this one? Ooh, just. How's that? That's just. Okay, so back over to do the last one. So where are we? Well, we got the tuffet this weekend. Are you coming on the tuffet? So I've got the foam pieces are being delivered today. I have the feet already. And I also have my, the buttons are ready. I've ordered some more. Oh, it's not quite. We'll be pushing it. Okay. And I've ordered some twine as well. I suddenly thought, I don't think I've got enough twine. Not enough twine. So we're just about ready, and we've had some developments with the pattern pieces. So it'll be interesting to see what you on the tuffet courses think of them. I'm not going to tell you too much, and we shall see when they come whether or not you think they're worth it. So it's going to cut my time down considerably. Right, so we're going to cut these now, hopefully into 4.5 inches. So I'm pushing it. These are all going to go together so nicely. Right, so I've made sure that I've got some in my 4.5. So now I've cut that corner, I can line up my 4.5. Oh, completely missed that. Okay. It's not going to quite get to 4.5, but it should be all right. It's on the outside. It'll look all right when it's done. So that's one. Yeah. It's a little squiffy, that. Okay, so we're lining up our 4.5 on. I'm looking to make sure that I've got enough within my 4.5 on these. Okay, so we're trimming that up so we have a nice sharp corner at the top, so we can turn that round and line that up with that. Okay, so we now have these. So where's my little square blocks? So we're now just going to build it. Now you want your little squares to run. We want to run them so that they follow a line. Okay, so they're all going to follow. So you want your 2 square blocks to go in so that they're diagonal and your points are running down. Then you're going to add these. You want the dark into the middle, like that. I don't know what it would look like. What does it look like if you did that? Just looking at the camera and at the picture on the screen now. That's another interesting thing. Is it looks like you've got a square underneath, and then these are laid over it. So that would work too. But today we're doing this one. It's always good to play around with your fabrics. I mean, you could have it so that the whites are running down and through it. You would just get a different pattern. Always play around with your blocks. Right, so we're now going to sew that one on there and that one on there. Okay, so back to the drawing board. They actually sew exactly the same, so you could just pile them up and sew them together if you were doing this as a big quilt. So I keep doing that, keep cutting it. Now I'm doing this at a scanter quarter of an inch to make sure I've got the block the right size. So we're going along here. Does that one in it? This is where I find out that I've put them and twisted them as I move them towards the machine. So there we go. So we now have our two little block things here. Now, I was looking at my finished blocks. Now, if you always, again, if you iron to the dark side, they'll nest because you're putting your two different blocks diagonal. Okay, like that. So you want one lot to go that way and this lot to go that way. So because I've ironed to the dark side, when I put them together, these will nest like that. Now I did wonder when, let's do this first. Let's finish this. So let's stick a pin in that, like that, just to hold them together there. So we know that as we're moving, we're not moving our nest. Okay, so last seam. Okay, so we're back here and we're going to iron this out like that. Now if you just iron them all the one way, when you come to put them together, you would just have a look and see, you could nest them together because you'll be able to just turn them round because they're exactly the same either way. Right, so we want an 8.5 inch block. So I'm lining up my 4 1/4 here. Let's move over here. I'm lining up my 4 1/4 going down the bottom. There's my 4 1/4, 4 1/4. It's a bit squiffy. Oh, it's really squiffy. There's my 4 1/4, daft woman. And that's my 4 1/4. Oh, it's not as squiffy as I thought. It's a lot better when you're not trying to do 4.5 up here and 4 1/4 down there, it doesn't go quite so squiffy. So you just trim this off like that, there. Turn it around, line up your 4 1/4 again, or line up your 8 1/2 on the bottom, like that. 8 1/2 down here as well. Oh, just moved it all like that. 8 1/2. It's a lot easier if you stand up set. There we go. So there we have our finished block. So like I was saying, my seam here, my mid seam, is going that way. If I wanted to nest it, I want one going that way. So you would nest them. No, you don't. You don't have any nesting because you're putting them like that. That's right. And then in there would be that piece. So you're putting them together like this. So you're, oh yeah, you do nest them. There. You nest them like that, I think. Yes. Now, I don't know whether these, see here, I will have turned my my seams. I would have ironed towards the dark. I don't know whether if this one was facing that way, whether these would fit together better or whether it's just my sewing. I suppose if I move that up, you can nest if you want it to be perfect. I know there's some of you out there that you like it. I would nest, make sure that these went together and nest. This would nest. I mean, these are nested. You can see my points are pretty good here. Okay, my points are pretty good there. But these ones here, they don't nest. So if you change that so that they did nest, change that one so they went out, you would probably get a better point. Okay, so that you would get a definite square there. All right, rather than, you know, so you'd end up with points like that rather than that. They would all fit together. So you would have that one there like that, and then that one there like that. So you would nest these two together and then build them like that. What am I going to do with something that size? I suppose I could carry on and make more of the same size and then build them up. I don't know. What am I going to do with that size? I thought I'd get something a little bigger out of the fat quarters. You might, I suppose. You should do. I've got plenty of the purple, but hardly, I've got that much of the green left. And I would have thought I would have used the purple quicker. So maybe they were different sizes when I started. So we'll go from there. So that's it. A wall hanging. I could do a wall hanging. Although he doesn't like to put any screws in the wall, as we've had them plastered, he's bought shelving units rather than putting shelves up because he says he doesn't want to drill into the wall. So, I don't know. You could use it as a big pocket on a Jeeves bag. Or I could make a sewing mat. I might do that. I might wad it up and make a sewing mat. Because I haven't got one that goes under my machine. So maybe I could do that. Floor cushion. Yeah. Yeah, I could do that. I will have a look. It'll go in my unmade thing ready to come out next January probably. And I'll bring it out on our charity do thing. Right, I'm off. I'm hungry. Oh, that's not bad. It's only 20 to 2. Normally it's 2 o'clock by the time I finish. So, I will see you next week. Sarah's here tomorrow. We're not doing Thursday because I'm taking my mum to the hospital. So, it just is easier not to do one. And then, what am I doing then? Then it's Tuffet. Hochanda. Sarah's on Hochanda on Sunday. And then we start again next week. And Sarah's off then. By the end of the week, Sarah will be off. So, cool. Have a good weekend. Even though it's ages away. I keep thinking it's Thursday. I'm going to be really out all week, aren't I? See you soon. Take care. Bye.